if you're not at the point in your life where people are saying, you might actually be a little crazy, wow, you really think that? You are not triggering enough people. You need to start triggering more people by saying stuff that people might not like. And now I'm running while I'm saying this stuff that you need to hear. You need to trigger more people. Because the thing is, if you do not trigger people, then you will not know who not to be around. And you will endlessly and forever end up questioning whether people truly like you or not. And it's better for you to weed out the people that will never ever support you in your true self, in your true growth. It's better to weed them out by being a little extra than for you to shrink yourself in order to make people comfortable, because that's people pleasing, girly. And that people pleasing, oh girl, that run. Anyways, that people pleasing will make you a literal doormat. And I'm not saying you need to go out and tell people your girlfriend looked like my mom, but you need to be so open towards making yourself the best version of yourself, to the point where sometimes you gotta say something that makes other people feel like, ooh, now I can't do the bare minimum. Now I can't just tag along. That's why they always say that a woman with a voice is like dangerous, and women should be moral and good and pure. Because a woman who's willing to speak her mind and say, you know what, I don't appreciate that, I don't like that, I'm gonna live my truth and my truth only, bye-bye. That woman is dangerous because she's not easily manipulated, because she knows what she wants. That's exactly what makes women very easily manipulated. It's not knowing what you want, because then you become confused. And when you become confused, you're easily manipulated into doing something else, because you're like, ooh, maybe that's the right thing for me. One thing that I wholeheartedly believe in as a girly is being very open about material things that you want, or material things that you're interested in. Be open about, oh, I really want to go travel here. I really want to go travel there. I love those types of bags. I love those types of dresses. Not in like a, I just really wish that I could go on a trip there. No. We're talking like, you need to just be open, like, oh, I love this, I love that, I love this. Because even if you don't have it, even if you're literally wearing, I don't know, scrubs every day, not because you're wearing them to work, but because it's the only thing you could pick up from the thrift store, then you're still saying, my mind is not going to be tethered by the reality that I live. And that actually is the most dangerous, because most people, they live by what they observe. They don't live by what's in their fantasy. So you need to get way better at using your fantasy. That's also why they have a tendency to call, like, women especially that want more, they have a tendency to call them dreamers and unrealistic. But when a man is like, has an idea about something that he wants or something that he wants to build, it's like, wow, he's a visionary. They don't like that women want more. They don't. But one thing I've learned personally as a woman who is both neurodivergent, which means I have a superpower of literally not being able to be programmed. I am unprogrammable in certain ways. And that means if it doesn't fly, I can't be made to make it fly. I can't be like, okay, I'm gonna force myself to like it. Because it's like, why? My intuition is telling me why. First and foremost, that scares society, and society is ruled by patriarchy, which means that it scares men. But another thing it does, it brings out the people around you. It will trigger people around you to reveal their resentment and their like limited belief, to a point where they will start calling you names. Really, what people calling you names, or people telling you this and this and that, oh, you're doing that wrong, or oh, I could never do that, or whatever, that's actually them. Their desires, their inner desires of wanting more, being triggered so much that they actually have to be verbal in order to drown out their own desires. It's actually pretty sad. And that's why we can't be dealing with people that are telling us that, because first and foremost, they got demons of their own they gotta fight. Demon slayer. What I mean by that is that you're actually not a demon slayer. So why are you fighting those demons? They're not demons, but they got their own demons that they need to fight. And that's why one thing that I truly believe in is like the biggest superpower that I have is I am not unwilling to be hypocritical. I am fully willing to contradict myself, because what we have a tendency to do, especially us women, is that when we find like our truth, then we want to stick by it. because we're afraid what society is going to tell us. Society's going to tell you anything. But now you feel like you found some safe place and you're going to hang on to that. But eventually you're going to get really, really tired of that because you're not letting yourself dream. You're saying, I need to stand by this. I need to stand by this. I need to stand by this. And girl, that's what's killing your spark. You're not willing to contradict yourself. If you want more in life, you need to be willing to get to a point where you're like, well, you know what? Maybe I wanted that a couple years ago. Maybe I wanted that a week ago, but I don't want it anymore. And that's okay. You need to be willing to take a stand on yourself. You need to be willing to take a chance on things that you want and then be comfortable with the uncomfortability of saying, I don't want that anymore. That's truly my opinion on why a lot of people end up getting a lot of resentment. That's why I think if a lot of people are not as happy as they ought to be, because their soul probably wants to try out things and not really be tethered to one identity, but their brain that's been programmed by men and patriarchy and society to make us believe that we need to be one thing only, and we need to be like, that's the only thing you can do for the rest of your life. That's the only way you can dress for the rest of your life. That's the only opinion on something you can have for the rest of your life. I'm going to take myself as a big, amazing example of this, that you can actually change your mind, and you should, because it's not going to make you happy to literally stand by a version of yourself that you don't believe in anymore. It's going to feel wrong, and it's going to make you like, it's going to give you that hole in your stomach, and you're like, why is nothing working out? Girl, because you're not working on a version of yourself that you truly want to step into, but you're afraid of doing it because you're afraid what society's going to think. Society's going to think something no matter what. But the reason why I personally, I want fabulous, that is my symbol request. The reason why I am an amazing example of this is that as a ADHD girly, I am someone who is prone to taking side quests, which means that I will make content about whatever it is that I feel is interesting. Right now, what's working really well for me and something that I'm very passionate about and that I actually feel like is a passion that I've had for my whole life is being like straightforward. I mean, the straightforwardness has always been there, but making content about self-help. But you know what I also used to make content about? Fashion. You know what I also used to make content about once? Food. And I bet everything on that because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it out and I'm going to do my best. And then I changed. And you know what? Tomorrow I might change. Tomorrow you may see me starting to post streetwear outfits. Tomorrow you may see me in a tattoo parlor getting all of the tattoos that I've been getting removal on tattooed on again. Tomorrow morning, you might see me making a statement about how I'm never going to get plastic surgery. And then the week after, I may get it. Okay? And that's because I'm not unwilling to contradict myself. Because I understand that me holding myself back and saying, oh, you know what? I'm not going to change my opinion on that. I'm sure. That is literally putting my mental growth in freaking jail because I am going to change. And that doesn't mean that whatever opinion I have now isn't a valid way of me becoming a better version of myself. But when you adopt the mentality that you're not afraid of contradicting yourself, that's when your world is going to absolutely change, because people will be triggered more and people won't know how to handle you. And in general, people will feel like, oh, you're very like up in the air and they can't handle it. And they will tell that to you so that you shrink yourself and you make yourself a lesser version of who you are and you dim down your desire. And that's how they keep check on you, because they can't even expand their own mind as much as your mind is expanded. So you're actually people pleasing by shrinking yourself, by saying I'm not willing to change because I don't want people to think that I'm someone who always changes. Because apparently in this society, changing and becoming a better version of yourself or a different version of yourself is bad. Changing your opinions, changing your boundaries, changing your hobby, changing your look, that's bad. Girl, it's a part of becoming a better version of yourself. If you were stagnant, I would be worried. And that doesn't mean that you can't be calm. And that's why I'm saying, you need to trigger the heck out of people. You need to be willing to be so loud that people are wondering, who's that person? So that they deselect themselves from your life, okay? And then you can select better things that are more fun. Go on side quests. Discover more lore about yourself. Girl, there's so much lore about me that you guys don't know. I am a really interesting person, and you can call me selfish for that, and I'll take it as a compliment. It's time to try defying gravity. It's time to fly Defying gravity. Defy gravity by being a contradiction, being consistently inconsistent and triggering people.